The massive ship hovered above Earth silently. Amara Clark sat frozen in her seat as ambassador to the Galactic Council. She never expected to meet the Zoraxian Queen in person, let alone negotiate for humanity. The Zoraxian species towered over humans, with their iridescent blue skin and 4 arms. They ruled half the galaxy with technology beyond human comprehension. Their queen Zilara stood before Amara, now her silver eyes studying the human with curious interest. Amara kept her composure, despite her racing heart. The fate of Earth depended on this meeting. The Zoraxians had conquered 12 systems in the past cycle, and Earth was next on their list unless she could convince them otherwise. The Queen circled Amara, her long robes trailing. Behind her, the room felt cold aboard the alien vessel. "You offer alliance instead of surrender," said Queen Zilara, her voice melodic yet powerful. How unusual for a species so young. Humans have much to offer beyond military value, Amara replied. "We are adaptable, creative. We solve problems differently than other species in the galaxy." The Queen stopped her movement and leaned closer to Amara, their faces inches apart. "Prove it, human." Amara pulled out a small device from her pocket, a simple puzzle box. Created by human engineers, it had stumped the greatest alien minds in 3 systems. The Queen took it, her 4 hands working simultaneously to solve it. Hours passed. The Queen grew frustrated, yet fascinated. Amara remained patient, watching as the powerful ruler of half the galaxy battled with a human toy. Suddenly the box clicked open, revealing a simple message inside. "We come in peace." The Queen stared at the message, then at Amara. Her silver eyes widened with understanding. The humans had created a puzzle that required patience, creativity, and emotional intelligence. 3 traits the Zoraxians valued but rarely found combined. Wait, was that an offer? The alien Queen laughed. "All right, I accept." The treaty was signed that day. Earth became not a conquered world, but the newest ally to the most powerful empire in the galaxy. All because one human woman understood that sometimes the greatest weapon was not technology, but creativity. Amara returned to Earth as a hero. The news spread across the planet. The alien alliance brought new opportunities for humans. Zoraxian technology began to appear in human cities. Their medicine cured diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Their energy systems replaced fossil fuels within months. Not everyone celebrated. Some feared the aliens. Some believed Earth had simply traded one form of conquest for another. Amara knew better. She had seen the respect in Queen Zilara's eyes. She understood that the alliance was real. But she also knew that respect had to be maintained. Humanity needed to continue proving its worth. 6 months after the treaty, Laura Blackwood, a brilliant human scientist, developed a new communication system that allowed instant connection across vast distances. Even between moving ships, the Zoraxians were impressed. Their own scientists had been working on similar technology for decades. The Queen summoned Amara again. This time not to her ship, but to the Zoraxian homeworld. Amara would be the first human to visit their planet. The journey took 3 weeks even with Zoraxian technology. The ship traveled through wormholes and folded space in ways human science barely understood. When they arrived, Amara gasped. The Zoraxian homeworld was magnificent. Tall crystal towers reached toward 3 moons. Cities floated on massive platforms above violet oceans. The sky shimmered with aurora lights that never faded. Queen Zilara greeted Amara personally at the royal landing pad. "Welcome to Zoraxia, human, the first of your kind to see our world." Amara bowed in the Zoraxian tradition. "I am honored, Your Majesty." The Queen led her through the capital city. Zoraxians stopped to stare at the small human walking beside their ruler. Some looked curious, others suspicious. Amara understood their caution. Their species had rarely formed alliances, preferring conquest. The royal palace dwarfed any building on Earth. Its spires seemed to touch the stars. The walls shifted colors, responding to sound and emotion. "You have impressed my scientists," said the Queen as they entered her private chambers. "The communication system your Laura Blackwood created will change how we connect with our colonies." Amara nodded. We hoped it would prove useful. The Queen studied her. You still fear we might conquer your world? Amara hesitated, then decided on honesty. Some humans worry, yes. Our history is filled with stronger powers taking advantage of weaker ones. We project our fears onto you. The Queen nodded. Understanding another, species fears is the beginning of true alliance. Tell me, Ambassador, what else do humans fear? Amara thought for a moment. We fear being irrelevant, being seen as primitive or unworthy. We fear losing our identity, our culture, if we join the galactic community. The Queen moved to a window overlooking the capital. I have ruled for 300 of your years. I have conquered many worlds. But Earth I respect. Not for your technology, which is primitive. Not for your military, which is laughable, but for your minds. Your species thinks differently. You see connections others miss. She turned back to Amara. That is why I accepted your offer. Not because I feared fighting you, but because I wanted your perspective in my empire. That night Amara stayed, in chambers grander than any human hotel. The gravity was slightly stronger than Earth, making her movements feel heavy. The air smelled of sweet minerals. Her mind raced with the responsibility on her shoulders. She was not just an ambassador now. She was the bridge between two species that could either help each other thrive or destroy each other through misunderstanding. The royal vessel approached Earth with an escort of Zoraxian warships. Amara stood beside Queen Zalara on the command deck. The blue marble of her homeworld grew larger in the view screen. The ship's appearance caused worldwide panic, despite advance. Notice military forces around the globe went on high alert. News stations broadcast continuous coverage of the alien fleet. This reaction troubles you, said the Queen, observing Amara's expression. We need to proceed carefully. Amara replied. Some will see your warships as threatening. The Queen nodded. A signal to her commanders, and most of the escort vessels pulled back, leaving only the royal ship approaching Earth. They landed at a newly constructed landing pad outside the United Nations headquarters, in New York. The largest human delegation ever assembled waited to greet them. World leaders, military commanders, and scientific experts all gathered to meet the alien Queen. Amara exited, first feeling strange to walk on Earth again after weeks on Zoraxia. The gravity felt too light, the air too thin, yet it was home. Queen Zalara followed her, towering over the human delegation. Her blue skin shimmered in Earth's sunlight. Her 4 arms held ceremonial staffs. Her silver eyes scanned the crowd. Human President stepped forward formally, welcoming the Queen to Earth. Cameras captured every moment, broadcasting to billions worldwide. The Queen spoke in perfect English, surprising everyone except Amara, who knew the Zoraxians had technology that allowed instant language acquisition. I come in peace, she said deliberately, using the human phrase found in the puzzle box, people of Earth. I come not as conqueror, but as ally. Your ambassador has shown us that our species can benefit from cooperation rather than subjugation. The formal reception moved inside the United Nations building. Security was unprecedented. Human guards stood alongside Zoraxian royal protectors. The tension was palpable. During the diplomatic meetings, Queen Zalara presented gifts, advanced medical technology, clean energy systems, agricultural improvements. Each gift carefully chosen to address humanity's greatest challenges without giving military advantages. The human delegates were cautiously optimistic. But outside, protesters gathered. Some carried signs welcoming the aliens. Others demanded they leave Earth immediately. News of the Dravex delegation arrived during the second day of meetings. The Zoraxian approach, suggested by Amara, had opened dialogue. The warlike species had agreed to preliminary peace talks. They were interested in terraforming technology rather than conquest. This news shifted public opinion. The possibility that human ideas could bring peace to a decades-long interstellar conflict impressed. Even skeptics, humans began to see their potential role in the galaxy, not just as junior partners but as problem solvers. On the third day, Queen Zalara requested a private tour of human cities. No security, no diplomats, just her Amara and Ordinary. Places reluctantly, human authorities agreed. They visited a small town in the Midwest. Ordinary people went about their lives. Some stared at the tall blue four-armed queen. Others tried to act normal, failing completely. Children approached without fear, asking innocent questions that made adults nervous. The queen seemed delighted by their directness, answering patiently, explaining Zoraxian customs, showing them how her four arms could perform different tasks simultaneously. They visited a school. The queen observed human education methods with fascination. The creative, chaotic learning environment was unlike the rigid Zoraxian system. She watched children paint, draw, and build with no predetermined outcome. Your young learn through play, she noted to Amara Zoraxian. Children are taught precision, repetition, conformity. It produces excellent soldiers and administrators, but perhaps not innovators. Next, they visited a music concert. The cacophony of sound, the emotional response from the crowd, the raw energy of human artistic expression. The queen stood silently absorbing the experience that night in her temporary quarters at the United Nations. She spoke with Amara. Your world is beautiful. Diverse, chaotic, creative. I understand better now why humans think differently. You are surrounded by constant change. Your short lives, your extreme emotions, your drive to create and connect. It shapes your thinking. Amara nodded. We live briefly compared to Zoraxians. Perhaps that makes us value each moment differently. The queen considered this. You lack our patience, our long-term planning, but you possess immediacy, determination, and adaptability. I believe our species complement each other well. The visit lasted 2 weeks. The queen toured all continents, met with various leaders, and observed human culture in its many forms. With each passing day, public opinion shifted. More humans saw the benefits of the alliance. Fear began to fade. On her final day, the queen addressed the United Nations General Assembly. The speech was broadcast globally. People of Earth, I came to your world curious about the species that offered alliance instead of surrendering. I leave impressed by your resilience, your creativity, and your potential. In the vastness of the galaxy, most species follow similar paths, Zoraxians included. We expand, conquer, adapt, repeat. But humans think differently. You question, you create. You see patterns and possibilities. Others miss. She paused, looking around the chamber. The galaxy faces challenges no single species can solve alone. Even Zoraxians with our military might cannot force peace upon the stars. But together, perhaps we can build it. My scientists are already working with yours, combining our technology with your innovation. My diplomats study your history, learning new approaches to conflict resolution. I return to Zoraxia with new perspective. I leave behind Zoraxian advisors to assist with implementing our shared technologies. But most importantly, I leave with hope that our alliance marks the beginning of a new approach to galactic civilization. The speech was met with thunderous applause. The alliance was secure. As the queen prepared to depart, she had one final conversation with Amara. You must return with me, Ambassador, she said. There is much work to do. The Galactic Council respects your voice. We need your human perspective. Amara hesitated. Earth needed her too to maintain the alliance, to ensure human interests were protected. I propose a compromise. Amara said, I will divide my time between worlds, 6 Earth months here, 6 on Zoraxia. And we should establish an exchange program. Humans living on Zoraxia, Zoraxians living on Earth. True understanding requires immersion. The queen agreed, and so began the real work of the alliance. The exchange of not just technology but culture, ideas, and perspectives. The royal ship departed Earth, returning to Zoraxia. Amara remained behind to oversee the implementation of Zoraxian technology and to select the first humans who would visit the alien homeworld. She worked closely with Tanya Rodriguez, a brilliant engineer who had been studying Zoraxian energy systems. Tanya would lead the first technical exchange team. The Zoraxians are centuries ahead of us in physics, Tanya told Amara. But their approach is so linear, so methodical. They never make the intuitive leaps we do. Our team has already found applications they overlooked. Amara smiled. The Queen predicted this. She believes our different thinking, styles complement each other. Over the next months, human society began to transform Zoraxian technology, eliminated energy shortages. Their medical advances cured diseases, thought incurable. Their agricultural methods ended food insecurity. But the greatest changes were cultural. Humans began to think beyond Earth, beyond their short lifespans. They saw themselves as part of something larger, a galactic community, not just surviving, but contributing. Their unique perspective valued their creativity, sought after. The next morning, Amara attended the Galactic Council meeting on Zoraxia. Representatives from 20 allied species gathered in a vast circular chamber. Some looked almost human. Others defied description, creatures of gas or silicon or living crystal. Each had been either conquered or had allied with the Zoraxians. Amara was the only human present. She felt their eyes on her as she took her seat, the smallest, most fragile-looking being in the room. Yet she sat at the right hand of Queen Zilara, a position of highest honor. The council discussed trade routes, defense systems, and resource allocation. Amara listened carefully, learning the complex politics of galactic civilization. When the topic turned to a conflict with the Dravex, a warlike species from the outer rim, she spoke up. The Zoraxians had been fighting the Dravex for decades, a costly war with no end in sight. Perhaps a different approach might work, Amara suggested. The room fell silent. No one interrupted the Queen yet. This human had spoken without being called upon. Continue, said Queen Zilara, surprising everyone. The Dravex fight because they believe they must. Their homeworld orbits an unstable star. They need new territory, not conquest for its own sake. Amara explained. What if we offered them uninhabited systems with stable stars technology, to terraform worlds instead of taking developed ones? Impossible, said a counselor. The Dravex only respect strength. Amara smiled. That may be how they present themselves. But, based on the reports I've studied, their attacks follow a pattern. They target worlds that can support their specific biology. They avoid prolonged conflicts when possible. Their goal is survival, not dominance. The Queen considered her words. An interesting theory, Ambassador. How would you suggest we proceed? We send a delegation not to their leaders, but to their scientists. Amara said, show them we understand their plight. Offer solutions that don't require war. The council erupted in debate. The Queen silenced. Then with a gesture, we will try the human way, said Queen Zilara. The council session ended with that declaration. Later, the Queen and Amara walked through royal gardens filled with plants that moved, and sang. Your suggestion was bold, said the Queen. Most new species wait years before speaking. In council, Amara watched a flower change from blue to gold as they passed. Sometimes outsiders see what those involved cannot. The Queen nodded. That is exactly why I wanted humans in my alliance. You see, patterns we miss after centuries of thinking the same way. That evening, a message arrived from Earth. Human scientists had discovered something in their study of Zoraxian technology. The molecular structure of certain alien materials could be modified to create new medicines for both species. The discovery promised to strengthen the alliance further. Amara shared the news with the Queens. He said, Queen Zilara, already our peoples benefit from each other. Tell me, Ambassador, how do you think humans will change in the coming decades, now that they are part of galactic society? Amara considered the question. We will advance quickly adopting your technology, but I hope we retain what makes us human, our creativity, our empathy, our stubborn determination to find another way. The Queen made a sound Amara had learned was laughter. These traits are why I find your species so fascinating. Most conquered worlds simply adapt to become more Zoraxian. You humans might make us become more human. The next day, Amara observed Zoraxian scientists working with the human puzzle box technology. They were creating new applications, combining human creativity with their advanced materials. Their blue fingers worked with precision, their four arms allowing complex manipulations impossible for humans. A young Zoraxian scientist approached her ambassador. "We have studied the human brain. Our scans show unusual connections between creativity and logic centers. Most species favor one or the other. Humans use both simultaneously." "Why do you think this is?" Amara thought about Earth history. "Our world forced us to be both creative and logical. We faced predators, environmental challenges, and our own violent tendencies. We had to imagine solutions, then implement them precisely to survive." The scientist made notes. "You believe adversity created this trait," perhaps, Amara said. "Or perhaps we were just lucky evolution took that path for us." The delegation to the Dravex departed that afternoon. Amara watched from the palace as their ship vanished into hyperspace. She wondered if her suggestion would bring peace or further complicate the war. That night she received a private message from Earth. Terrorist groups were protesting the alien alliance. Some humans feared Zoraxian influence. Others claimed Amara had betrayed humanity by allying with aliens. The situation was growing tense. Amara sat alone in her chambers, troubled. The alliance was still fragile. Human fear could destroy everything they had built. She needed to return to Earth to address these concerns. But first she had responsibilities on Zoraxia. Queen Zalara had arranged a tour of their military academy. The Zoraxians trained not just in combat but in the art of conquest. How to subjugate worlds with minimal resistance. How to extract resources efficiently. How to break the will of species that resisted. The tour disturbed Amara. Though Earth was an ally, she saw what might have happened had she failed in her negotiation. The Zoraxians were not cruel by their standards, but they were conquerors. Their methods were effective and coldly logical. She spoke with the Queen that evening. "You are troubled," Ambassador said. "Queen Zalara, your military practices concern me." Amara admitted. "They seem at odds with peaceful alliance." The Queen studied her for a long moment. "You find us harsh by human standards," Amara nodded. "Some humans would call it cruel." The Queen walked to a holographic display and activated it. Images of Zoraxian history appeared. Worlds burning. Species fighting desperately against Zoraxian forces. "Before I became queen, we conquered through total domination," said Zalara. "That was our way for thousands of years. I have tried to change our methods to find alternatives to destruction. That is why your offer of alliance interested me. I seek new paths for my people." Amara understood then. The Queen was a reformer by Zoraxian standards, though still a conqueror by human ones. "I must return to Earth soon," Amara said. "Some humans fear the alliance. They protest against it." The Queen nodded. "Fear is natural when facing a more advanced species. I will accompany you to Earth, to show humans that Zoraxians can be allies, not just conquerors." The announcement shocked the royal court. A queen, leaving her homeworld to visit a primitive planet. No monarch had done this in living memory, but Zalara was determined. The alliance with humans mattered to her. The unique perspective they brought to her empire was worth protecting. 6 months after the Queen's visit to Earth, Amara prepared for her return to Zoraxia. She had selected 50 humans to accompany her, scientists, engineers, artists, and diplomats. Each chosen for their skills and their adaptability. The journey would be their first experience with interstellar travel. The Zoraxian ship arrived to transport them, a smaller vessel than the royal ship, but still impressive by human standards. As they boarded, Amara felt both excitement and apprehension. She had come to understand the Zoraxians better during her first visit, but bringing more humans into their society created new risks. Cultural misunderstandings could damage the fragile alliance. The ship's captain Zorak greeted them, his 4 arms performing the traditional Zoraxian welcome gesture. "Welcome aboard, humans," he said in careful English. "Our journey to Zoraxia will take 14 Earth days. Your quarters have been adapted for human comfort. Please inform us if you require any adjustments." Tanya Rodriguez examined the ship with professional interest. The engineering beyond anything humans had achieved. The walls seemed alive, responding to touch and temperature. The gravity could be adjusted by thought for those with neural implants, which no humans had yet. I could spend years studying just this ship, she whispered to Amara. The captain overheard with his sensitive hearing. Perhaps you will engineer Rodriguez. We have much to teach each other. The journey gave the humans time to adjust to Zoraxian customs. The crew provided instruction in their language, basic etiquette, and social expectations. Most importantly, they learned the complex hierarchy that governed Zoraxian society. Rank was everything to Zoraxians. Their position determined who they could speak to, where they could go, what information they could access. Humans found this frustrating. Their more egalitarian approach clashed with Zoraxian structure. Amara mediated numerous misunderstandings. The Zoraxians found human informality. Shocking humans found Zoraxian formality stifling. But slowly they adapted, finding middle ground. Tanya formed an unlikely friendship with the ship's engineer, Kalara. They communicated through diagrams and technical specifications when language failed, creating a hybrid vocabulary of human and Zoraxian terms. When the ship reached Zoraxia, the humans gasped at the view. The crystal cities, the floating platforms, the perpetual auroras. Just as Amara had described, but more magnificent in person, Queen Zalara greeted them personally. She had summoned the entire Galactic Council to witness the humans' arrival. This small group represented humanity's official entrance into galactic society. The Queen introduced each council member to Amara, the Meldorians, crystal beings who communicated through light. The Vrax, a gaseous species that required containment suits on most worlds. The Thoraxians, insectoid creatures with hive minds. Each represented an allied or conquered world. Zalara then surprised everyone by speaking in the traditional greeting of each species, not just their common language. This was a highest honor, rarely granted to new species. She finished by speaking English, welcoming humans as true allies. The next weeks were busy with diplomatic meetings, cultural exchanges, and technological demonstrations. The humans were separated into specialized groups. Tanya and her engineers worked with Zoraxian scientists. Diplomats met with council representatives. Artists shared human creative expressions. Amara divided her time between groups, ensuring the exchanges went smoothly. She met regularly with Queen Zalara, updating her on human progress and addressing concerns. One evening, a month into their stay, Amara was summoned urgently to the Queen's chambers. She found Zalara studying reports with her advisors. Their expression serious. There is a situation, the Queen said. The Dravex delegation has been attacked. Amara felt cold fear. Not the peace talks they had worked so hard to establish. Not by us, Zalara clarified by the hive mind. The hive mind. Amara had heard whispers about this mysterious enemy. A collective consciousness that consumed everything in its path, not conquering but absorbing. Entire species assimilated into the collective. They have breached the outer system, said a military advisor. They move faster than we predicted. 3 colony worlds already lost. The Queen turned to Amara. The Galactic Council convenes tomorrow to discuss our response. You will attend. The hive threatens all species, including humans. We must determine how to fight an enemy that adapts to every strategy. That night, Amara could not sleep. The hive mind threatened everything they had built. The alliance, the peace talks with the Dravex, the future of humanity in the galaxy. The council chamber was tense the next day. Representatives argued over military strategies. The Vrax suggested massive energy weapons. The Thoraxians proposed biological warfare. The Meldorians offered psychic barriers. None will work against the hive, said the Queen. They adapt too quickly. Our conventional approaches fail. Amara listened carefully, studying the reports. The hive's behavior, its patterns of expansion, the way it communicated between its parts. It reminded her of something. She stood gaining the attention of the council, addressing Queen Zalara directly. She asked, may I examine the full data on the hive mind? Its communication patterns specifically. The Queen nodded, granting access. The data appeared on Amara's console. She studied it carefully, then looked up. The hive mind communicates through quantum entanglement, she said. Each part instantly connected to the whole. That is how it adapts so quickly. But this is also a weakness. How so, asked the Zeraxian military commander. On Earth we once faced similar threats. Amara explained colony organisms that operated as collectives. Our scientists discovered that such systems follow predictable patterns. They react instinctively to certain stimuli. If we create a false pattern, leading them away from populated systems, we could redirect them entirely. Impossible, said a counselor. We cannot trick a collective consciousness. Amara stood firm. We can, if we understand how it thinks. The hive seeks resources, energy, biological material. To expand, its primary directive must be growth. If we create decoys, powerful energy signatures mimicking valuable resources, we can lead it away from our systems. The room fell silent. Considering her proposal, even if possible, said another counselor, the decoys would need to be placed precisely, requiring ships to enter hive territory. A suicide mission. Not necessarily, said Amara. We could use automated drones, sacrificial technology to deliver the decoys. The debate continued for hours. The council divided. Some supporting Amara's plan, others favoring direct military action. Finally, Queen Zalara spoke. We will try the human way, she announced. Her silver eyes met Amara's. We will combine our technology with your strategy. Zeraxian ships will carry human-designed decoys. The meeting adjourned. Teams formed immediately. Tanya and her engineers worked with Zeraxian scientists to develop the decoy technology. The Theraxians contributed their knowledge of hive behavior. The Meldorians offered crystalline technology that could amplify energy signatures. Amara coordinated the groups, bringing together diverse knowledge and perspectives. It was humanity at its best, adapting, improvising, finding connections between disparate fields. 3 days later, the plan was ready. Automated ships loaded with decoys would enter hive territory, broadcasting energy signatures irresistible to the collective, then gradually lead the hive away from populated systems toward an uninhabited region of space. The council gathered to witness the launch. Amara stood beside Queen Zalara, watching as the ships disappeared into hyperspace. Now they could only wait and hope. Hours passed, the tension unbearable. Then the first signals arrived. The hive had detected the decoys. The collective was changing course, following the false pattern. It worked, breathed the queen, her 4 hands grasping Amara's shoulders in excitement. The council erupted in celebration, the immediate threat diverted by human ingenuity, not through superior firepower but through understanding and redirection. That evening, Queen Zalara addressed the council formally. Today we witnessed something remarkable, she said. For centuries, the Zeraxian Empire has relied on military might to solve problems. The strongest ships, the most powerful weapons, the largest armies. But against the hive, these traditional approaches failed. It took human perspective to find another way. She gestured toward Amara and the other humans. Our alliance with Earth has proven its value. This small planet, these short-lived beings have shown us alternatives to conquest. Their minds see patterns we miss. Their creativity finds solutions we overlook. I propose we elevate humans to full council membership. Not as subjects, but as equals. The proposal shocked everyone. No species had ever joined the council without centuries of proving their worth. No conquered world had ever been granted equal status. But the queen was resolute. The vote was close, but in the end, the council approved humanity's elevation, largely due to Queen Zalara's influence, but also because the hive mind threat had shaken them. The old ways were failing. They needed new perspectives. The ceremony took place in the Grand Chamber. Amara stood before the assembled representatives as the official human delegate to the Galactic Council. The first of her species to hold this honor, Queen Zalara performed the ancient ritual, placing a ceremonial collar around Amara's neck. The collar contained quantum technology connecting her to the council network, giving her access to information and communication no human had ever possessed. With this act, Earth formally joined galactic society, not as a conquered world, but as an equal partner. The next day, messages arrived from the drone ships. The hive mind continued to follow the decoys, moving away from populated systems. The plan was working, but Amara knew this was only a temporary solution. We need to understand the hive better, she told the Queen. Not just redirect it, but communicate with it. Perhaps find a permanent resolution. The Queen considered this. You believe communication is possible with such an entity? Amara nodded. Though it seems to act as a predator, consuming worlds, the hive might simply be following its nature. If we understood its needs, perhaps accommodation is possible. The Queen agreed to support further research. A joint team of scientists from multiple species began studying the hive's communication patterns, seeking ways to establish contact. Meanwhile, on Earth, the news of humanity's elevation to the Council brought celebration. The first human ships, built with Zoraxian technology, prepared for launch. Colonies planned for nearby star systems. The Alliance had accelerated human development by centuries. Amara divided her time between worlds. Months on Zoraxia in council sessions. Then months on Earth, helping humanity prepare for its new role in the galaxy. She became the bridge between species, the one who understood both perspectives. A year after the hive mind incident, Earth launched its first colony ship, bound for Alpha Centauri. Built with Zoraxian technology but distinctly human in design, the ship carried 5,000 colonists who would establish humanity's first off-world settlement. Amara watched the launch from mission control alongside Earth's leaders. The massive vessel rose silently, using gravitic drive instead of chemical rockets. In orbit, it unfurled solar sails, then activated its hyperspace engines, vanishing in a flash of light. Humanity had taken its first steps beyond the solar system, not as refugees or explorers, but as members of galactic society with allies and technology to support them. On Zoraxia, changes were happening too. Queen Zilara had begun reforming Zoraxian society, introducing elements inspired by human culture. Their rigid hierarchy remained, but with more flexibility, allowing talent to rise regardless of birth status. Their education system incorporated creative thinking alongside technical precision. Their military strategies evolved beyond pure conquest to include diplomacy and redirection. The peace talks with the Dravex resumed, this time with human mediators present. Their suggestions helped bridge gaps between the longtime enemies. A treaty seemed possible, though still distant. 2 years into the alliance, the research team studying the hive mind made a breakthrough. They discovered patterns in its quantum communications that suggested language, not just instinct. The hive was intelligent, perhaps even sentient in a way different from individual consciousness, but aware nonetheless. This discovery changed everything. If the hive could communicate, it could negotiate, it could understand boundaries and agreements. The team designed a quantum translator, a device that could convert the hive's signals into understandable language. The mission to establish contact would be dangerous, requiring a ship to approach the hive directly. The council debated who should go. Each species had strengths but also limitations. In the end, they chose a mixed crew: Zoraxian technology, Thoraxian hive knowledge, Meldorian psychic abilities, and human creativity. Amara would lead, representing the council. The ship was the most advanced ever built, designed specifically for this mission with layers of protection against assimilation. The crew trained for months, learning to work together despite their biological differences. Each brought unique perspectives essential to success. The day of launch. Queen Zilara spoke privately with Amara. "You understand the risks, Ambassador," she said. "The hive may not wish to communicate. It may see your approach as an opportunity to absorb valuable information." Amara nodded. "I understand, but we must try. War against the hive would devastate the galaxy. Coexistence, if possible, benefits all." The Queen touched Amara's shoulder with one blue hand. "Your courage honors humanity. I have come to value your friendship, not just your species alliance. Return safely. The galaxy needs your voice on the council." The journey took weeks, even with the fastest engines. The ship approached hive territory cautiously. The outer boundaries marked by debris planets, stripped of resources, abandoned husks of ships that had fought and lost as they crossed into hive space. The sensors detected movement, swarms of smaller entities surrounding them, probing their defenses. The translator activated, sending peaceful messages explaining their purpose. For days, nothing happened. The ship maintained position, continuing to broadcast. Then suddenly the swarms parted. A larger entity approached, unlike anything they had seen before. Not a ship, but a biological structure larger than a moon, its surface shifting constantly as though made of millions of smaller organisms moving in perfect coordination. The entity stopped near their ship. The sensors detected intense scanning. Their translator continued sending messages, then finally a response. The quantum signals changed, forming patterns the translator could interpret. Why the message read simply, "Why come?" Amara worked with the communication team, crafting their response to understand. To find peace between our kinds. To share the galaxy. Without destruction, the entity processed this, the surface rippling as though in thought. Then another message. Hive must grow. Hive must consume. Amara considered carefully, then responded. Growth without destruction is possible. We offer knowledge of uninhabited systems, resources you can use without taking from others. Hours passed as they exchanged messages, slowly building understanding. The hive explained its nature. Not malevolent, but driven by imperative to expand, to absorb, to grow. It had never considered limits or boundaries, only consumption. The negotiations continued for weeks. The translator improving with each exchange, the hive learning concepts foreign to its nature, coexistence, boundaries, consent, the crew learning the hive's perspective, its need for certain resources, its collective intelligence so different from individual minds. Finally, an agreement took shape. The hive would redirect its expansion to uninhabited regions. The council would provide star charts showing safe zones for consumption. In return, the hive would share its unique biological knowledge and avoid council worlds. It was not perfect. It required trust from beings that had never needed to trust, but it was a beginning. The ship returned to Zeraxia in triumph, the crew exhausted but successful. They had accomplished what seemed impossible. Communication with the hive mind. The beginning of peace. The council celebrated this achievement as even greater than the redirection strategy. Years of war, averted through understanding, not force. Queen Zalara addressed the council with Amara beside her. Today marks a new era in galactic history, she said. For millennia, species have followed the same path: compete, conquer, expand, repeat. But humans have shown us alternatives, ways to redirect conflict rather than escalate it, ways to communicate rather than destroy. Today the Council, the Zoraxian Empire, and humanity have achieved what none thought possible. Peace with the hive mind, she turned to. Amara Ambassador Clark represents the best of humanity. Their creativity, their determination, their ability to see patterns others miss, their willingness to attempt the impossible. I believe their addition to our council has forever changed our approach to galactic governance. Amara smiled, thinking of how far they had come from that first meeting aboard the Queen's ship, when she offered alliance instead of surrender. Humanity had proven its worth not through military might, but through perspective, through seeing connections others missed, through finding a third option when only two seemed possible. In the years that followed, humanity expanded throughout nearby systems, establishing colonies, developing new technologies and arts. The alliance with the Zoraxians grew stronger. The peace with the hive mind held, though, requiring constant maintenance. More species joined the council, bringing their own unique perspectives. Amara continued her role as bridge between worlds, sometimes on Earth, where she was celebrated as a hero, sometimes on Zoraxia in council chambers, sometimes visiting new human colonies, always working to strengthen understanding between species. Evening 5 years after that first meeting, she stood with Queen Zalara on a balcony overlooking the Zoraxian capital. The 3 moons hung low in the sky, casting multiple shadows. I remember when you first offered alliance, the Queen said, her silver eyes reflective. It seemed such a small thing at the time. A primitive world seeking to avoid conquest, Amara smiled. It was a desperate gamble. We had nothing to offer but our perspective. The Queen laughed softly. And that has made all the difference. The galaxy is changing. Ambassador Clark. Zoraxians are learning creativity. Humans are gaining patience. The hive mind understands boundaries. The Dravex explore peaceful expansion. Who could have predicted such changes?